Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story dives into one of the most intense and daring military operations of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, an event that left both nations and the world in complete shock. Ukraine's precision drone strike on one of Russia's most vital bridges has not only disrupted logistics, but also changed the dynamics of the battlefield overnight. What unfolded next revealed just how far modern warfare and technology have come, and how one strike can send ripples across an entire region. As the cold dawn broke over the river that separated Russian-held territory from Ukraine's advancing front lines, a deep fog hung over the landscape. Beneath it stood the massive steel bridge, a crucial lifeline carrying ammunition, fuel, and reinforcements to Russian troops. For weeks, Ukrainian intelligence had been watching every movement across it, noting patterns, vehicle types, and security routines. High above the clouds, silent eyes were already fixed on their target, unmanned aerial vehicles equipped with precision payloads and real-time cameras. The plan had been in motion for days, and all that remained was the perfect moment to strike. Inside a dimly lit Ukrainian command center, the atmosphere was tense yet focused. Officers gathered around glowing monitors, tracking live drone feeds that displayed the bridge from multiple angles. The hum of computers and the quiet voices of operators filled the room. The operation's timing had to be perfect too early, and the Russians would reinforce the bridge's defenses too late, and reinforcements would already have crossed. With a calm but firm voice, the mission commander gave the signal to proceed. Dozens of drones lifted into the air from hidden launch sites, their rotors slicing through the silence as they climbed into the dark sky. The drones moved in coordinated formations, each programmed to perform a specific role. Some were equipped with explosive warheads, while others carried electronic jammers to disrupt Russian radar systems. The swarm traveled low to the ground to avoid detection, hugging the terrain as they crossed into enemy airspace. Within minutes, they were within striking distance of the target. Russian radar installations picked up faint signals, but before the defense systems could react, the drones had already locked on. In a blinding flash of light, the first explosions tore through the steel structure. The sound echoed across the valley as fire and debris filled the air. Sections of the bridge collapsed into the river below, sending vehicles and equipment plunging into the water. Secondary explosions followed as fuel trucks ignited, lighting up the sky like a second sunrise. Russian soldiers scrambled to respond, firing anti-aircraft weapons in every direction, but the drones were too small, too fast, and too coordinated. Within 10 minutes, one of Russia's most strategically important supply routes was in ruins. Inside the command center, Ukrainian operators watched the live feed in stunned silence. Years of technological development, strategic planning, and battlefield adaptation had led to this single moment. The strike was clean, precise, and devastating. It was not just a physical blow, but a psychological one, a message that nowhere was beyond Ukraine's reach. The room erupted in quiet applause as confirmation came through. Mission successful, 0 losses. The following hours were filled with chaos across Russian lines. Military convoys were halted, supply chains severed, and communication between units thrown into disarray. Commanders struggled to reroute logistics, while soldiers on the front lines found themselves cut off from fuel, ammunition, and food. Russian state media scrambled to downplay the incident, calling it a minor infrastructure disruption. But satellite imagery told a different story. The bridge was gone, a mangled wreck of twisted steel and burning debris. Meanwhile, social media exploded with footage and satellite photos of the attack. Videos from Ukrainian drones showed every stage of the strike, the approach, the impact, and the aftermath. Millions watched as the once impenetrable symbol of Russian control crumbled into the river. Global news outlets picked up the story within hours, and analysts around the world debated what this meant for the future of the war. Some saw it as a tactical victory, others as a turning point, but everyone agreed on one thing: Ukraine had just demonstrated the power of modern drone warfare like never before. In Moscow, the Kremlin's response was swift but defensive. Officials called emergency meetings, demanding explanations from military leaders. Rumors swirled about increased security measures around other key bridges and infrastructure sites. For the first time, Russia realized that its rear areas were no longer safe. Every bridge, depot, and airfield became a potential target. Panic quietly rippled through military logistics networks, and the focus shifted from offense to defense. Back in Ukraine, the mood was one of cautious triumph. The operation had been risky. A single failure could have exposed Ukraine's drone units and compromised future missions, but the success proved what many had believed all along, that agility, intelligence, and technology could defeat brute force. Drone operators and engineers who had worked tirelessly to refine the technology now stood as heroes behind the scenes. For them, it was proof that innovation could level the battlefield. The impact of the bridge strike went far beyond the immediate battlefield. Supply delays began to cripple Russian advances. Frontline units reported shortages of critical supplies within days. Heavy artillery positions went silent as ammunition failed to arrive. Fuel shortages stranded tanks and armored vehicles. What began as a single strike turned into a cascading logistical collapse. By the end of the week, Ukrainian forces began advancing in sectors previously thought to be impenetrable. As the days passed, new details emerged about the technology used in the attack. Ukraine's drones were not traditional military-grade aircraft but modified commercial models enhanced with advanced navigation and payload systems. They relied on a mix of AI-driven targeting and manual control, allowing real-time adjustments even under heavy electronic interference. This flexibility made them nearly impossible to stop. Analysts called it the future of warfare, a blend of civilian innovation and military precision that could redefine conflict in the 21st century. Russia's response, meanwhile, grew increasingly desperate. Anti-drone systems were deployed across key territories, and state media vowed retaliation. Yet each new defense measure seemed to come a step too late. Ukraine's tactics evolved faster than Russia's countermeasures. Within a month, reports surfaced of several more infrastructure strikes, fuel depots, communication hubs, and transport routes, each executed with surgical precision. The bridge attack had not only been a statement, it had been the beginning of a new phase in the war. Internationally, the world watched in uneasy fascination. Military analysts from NATO and the U.S. studied the operation carefully, calling it one of the most efficient drone strikes ever executed in combat. Countries began rethinking their own defense strategies, realizing that traditional armor and artillery could be rendered obsolete by swarms of small, intelligent drones. The attack became a case study in asymmetric warfare, where innovation and information outweighed size and firepower. For civilians on both sides, the strike was a grim reminder of the human cost of war. In nearby towns, residents reported feeling the shockwaves from the explosions, windows shattered, and the sky glowed red for hours. Yet amid the destruction, hope persisted. Many Ukrainians saw the attack as a symbol of resistance, proof that their nation could stand strong and strike back against overwhelming odds. In the following weeks, new footage emerged showing engineers inspecting the wreckage of the destroyed bridge. The twisted metal and scorched concrete stood as a silent monument to the changing nature of warfare. The once mighty structure, built to withstand generations, had fallen not to bombs or missiles, but to a handful of small, buzzing machines guided by human determination and technological ingenuity. The story of Ukraine's drone strike on Russia's vital bridge will likely be studied for decades. It marked a turning point not only in the war but in the evolution of military tactics. Where once armies relied on massive firepower, the future now seemed to belong to those who could think, adapt, and innovate. Ukraine's operation proved that victory in modern warfare isn't just about who has more weapons, it's about who uses them smarter. As the dust settled and both sides prepared for what came next, one thing was clear: the bridge may have fallen, but the fight was far from over. Ukraine had shown the world that it could fight on its own terms, using brains over brawn, precision over power, and as new drone units continued to take shape across the country, many began to wonder what the next target might be, and how soon it would come. For now, the bridge's destruction stands as both a warning and a message. In the era of drones and digital warfare, no stronghold is truly invincible. What happened next and what will happen next will continue to reshape the future of this war and every conflict yet to come.